Well, g'day again. Okay, as promised, it's another update. I have put the first coat of fiberglass on this engine cover. This is what they call a 600 gram fiberglass matting. It goes by weight. This is the heavier of what's available in the shops. As I said, it's a 600 gram, or for those in America, it'd be a 2 ounce glass. Yeah, and I've used probably 1.5 litres of resin with it, about 20 ml of catalyst. And what you want to do, if you're anyone attempting to do fiberglass, and it's not sort of that difficult, for a one-off job, don't do a big job like this because you'll have a problem. Try to do a small area. The thing with fiberglass is there's two things that affect it majorly. One is temperature, and the temperature controls your time, as does the amount of catalyst that you put in the resin. It's early in the morning, it's actually quite a little bit wet outside, so this is sort of an ideal temperature because it gives me a maximum amount of time. You also get the opposite issue, whereas if it's too cold it won't go off, and it really sort of needs sunlight. On a cold day, I've done fiberglass and I've had the fire blaring, I've had sitting right in front of the fire and left it there all night and it didn't go off. In the morning it was still not set, and I took it out, put it in the sunlight, and even though it wasn't a hot day, 10 minutes in the sunlight and it was set. And the other thing that you'll get is, because all of this has got to be trimmed, all this excess, and you'll get a point where it's set but it's still soft, what they call green. So when it's green, you can get a sharp knife and trim it off really easy, and that's a whole lot easier than trying to cut it all off with what I used to use, an angle grinder, which throws dust all over you. I've since gone to using a multi-tool. A multi-tool is really good because it doesn't spin, it doesn't throw the dust up. You get a little bit of dust in the air, but not much. Most of it just falls straight down to the ground. So that's what I use to trim it. But given this sort of day, another probably 15 minutes or so, this will be set. I'll be able to trim it with a knife. Now, the bigger the job, basically the bigger the container, the bigger the paintbrush. This is a paintbrush that I've been using. It's about a 2-inch brush. As I said, you've got to get it on quickly. You've got to get it wet out. You get your resin, you put your matting in place, and you start wetting it out. And sometimes the matting, like on this job, the matting just wanted to keep falling off. So I started up here at the top, I wet that out, and that stopped the matting falling off. Then when you've got it all wet out, you then go along with the roller. This is about a 1/2 inch wide, 2.5 inch, or 1/2 inch thick, 2.5 inch wide. You can see it rolls around. I shouldn't really be touching it. I haven't got any acetone to wash my hands with. So what I did use was disposable gloves this time, because I don't have any acetone to wash my hands. Yeah, as I said, and then you come along with the roller and you roll out all the air bubbles. You make sure, well, the air bubbles will appear white, so they're quite easy to see. So you just go over it and over it and over it with the roller until you've got all the air bubbles. Now down here we've got a different issue. Now, because there's a sharp edge here and a gap, you can see air bubbles all the way along. Now, if I was making a mould and trying to get an exact copy of the job underneath, that would be an issue, because I would have lost the exact shape where this air bubble is. Given that I'm actually making the finished job here, I'm not making a mould first, having the air underneath it is not really an issue. As long as you haven't got air within the fiberglass itself. Air within the fiberglass itself is a weakness. It will crack, and it'll also be porous, so it's not what you want. But as I said, in this job, because it's a finished job, I'm not trying to copy the exact shape. I'm not going to make another job from the inside of this one, so that air bubble that's underneath is not going to be an issue. That's basically about all I can say on this job. And as I mentioned last night and just now, this will be the finished job. I've got to go and get another metre of glass now and put a second cut layer on this for strength. What I'll be doing then is I'll be lightly sanding it, and sanding becomes an issue. As I said, the stuff gets in everywhere and it itches, and it's a real pain. So yeah, you don't want it in the shed. I'll be pushing it outside when I shed, and I've actually got a whole complete hazard suit that I'll put on. I'll do that, but yeah, I'll sand it lightly, and then I'll go over the whole thing with a thin coat of putty and then sand it again, and that's how we'll get the job smooth. Anyway, I'll give you another update when we get to that point. So yeah, one thing with fiberglass, fiberglass will not go over a sharp edge. So this is actually a good shape because everything's quite rounded, and the addition part that I made onto it, I made that rounded too for that purpose, knowing that I'll be glassing over it. And so as I said, this is why this air bubble is underneath, because I have this sharp edge along here, and yeah, fiberglass does not like bonding to a sharp edge. Yeah. Anyway, there you go.